Hey guys, welcome to the Globally Connected podcast. Are you thinking about going global, but you're not sure exactly where to start? In today's episode, we are going to dive into some of the markets to consider for your global expansion, why they make sense, and how you can get there. So, thank you guys for tuning in. And without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. So, we've picked out 6 countries and cities that make sense for global expansion. We'll go more into detail into why they make sense. All right, Jerome, so go ahead and start us off.
Yes. So the first country on the list is going to be Singapore. So Singapore, according to ASEAN, which stands for the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, reported that um, it has political stability, business-friendly environment, it has economic robustness, and it's a location of choice for setting up regional headquarters and increasingly for some firms, global head offices target the Asian Pacific region. As of 2023, it was reported that around 4,200 multinational companies had established their headquarters in Singapore, which outpaced other hubs such as Hong Kong. Other additional things to consider with Singapore, there's an ease of starting and doing business. It has a friendly and supportive tax and trade framework. The location is very strategic. The infrastructure is world class, and it has a rigorous legal framework. And that's very important to consider with any businesses when you're looking to establish a new framework in a new location. Because if disputes arise, you want to be sure that the legal aspect or any disputes related to contracts, businesses, etc., is taken care of. So Singapore is the first one on the list. What's your first country, Gigi? If you don't have any thoughts about Singapore.
Yeah, no, Singapore is a really interesting market. I think it's also great for digital nomads too. Got great internet. The cost of living is a bit higher in Singapore, but I think that's also a good opportunity if you are trying to reach a target audience even within Singapore if you want to sell a particular product or service. And their airport is really incredible.
Mhm.
And it's like such a gateway for like international business and transit. A lot of people come in and out of Singapore. So it's definitely a very interesting location. So I'll go ahead and start with the country as well. And guys, these are no particular order as well, just a heads up. But so next country that I have is also actually located in Asia, particularly in Southeast Asia, and that is Vietnam. So Vietnam has achieved a really large growth in their GDP just in the first half of 2025. We've seen a GDP growth of 7.5%. And they are actually putting in a lot of practices to increase this growth. They're also putting a lot of investment into tourism sector, and as well with everything going on with taxes, a lot of people are looking to also manufacture more in Vietnam versus China. And Vietnam's already a really large manufacturing hub for many companies, including Nike, for example. Even I even saw SAP is they recently just announced a 150 million euro investment to establish a research center in Ho Chi Minh City, because as well with Vietnam is there's just such a skilled labor force, an educated labor force as well, young as well. So it's very advantageous for people who also want to invest in an actual workforce in Vietnam. The government is also putting a lot of development into the infrastructure. So cities like Hanoi, Da Nang, also Ho Chi Minh, like they are really, really growing. A lot of real estate projects too. So it's a very interesting location to look at. And another thing that I'll note about Vietnam is they are an export driven economy, which is why they are becoming even more and more successful of an economy. They manufacture electronics, textiles, consumer goods like Samsung, Apple, LG. They've all invested in manufacturing facilities in Vietnam. It's a huge destination for foreign direct investment, and they have many good laws and practices for you to easily set up there. So definitely a market to look into if you're looking to expand and you have a good access to the rest of the Asian market from there as well.
Yeah, you brought up some good points about Vietnam, which you actually hit on it, which was going to be my question about the export. Why do you think that continues to be a trend even going forward, and why a company should look to expand into a country like Vietnam, relating to that aspect and everything that you mentioned?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it continues to be a trend because similarly, like even in China, we see that they are very export driven as well. I
Yeah.
think these economies have picked up on the fact that they would rather be a producer than an over consumer. I
Mm,
think in America we import a lot, and I think now that there's trying to change that a bit. But
mhm.
I think these countries have noticed that they would rather be in a position where they are supplying and exporting rather than just over consuming as well.
All right, thanks, Gigi, for sharing that perspective. Now, for my next country is the UAE, in particular, Dubai. Now, Dubai holds a very special place in my heart because that was actually the second country that I traveled towards and spent time in. And it changed my perspective on life and just opened my mindset up to a totally different horizon than what can actually exist. Now, Dubai is known for obviously lavish things, gold, cars, the flashy lifestyle. However, it's a good place to do business because it has so many benefits. For example, taxes. If you're an investor or if you're in a company looking to like lower your cost of doing business for tax purposes, that is a good place to look into. Um, it's easy to register a company in Dubai as it takes 1 to 5 days. It's efficient. It offers world-class business services, co-working spaces, and networking hubs. And again, it welcomes investors and entrepreneurs with long-term visas, which is very important, grants and innovation programs. Dubai is business friendly. It has an ease of doing business. They have a low bureaucracy and a stable legal framework as well. It has attractive tax policies that I mentioned. Most importantly, Dubai is a free zone. Now, for those who may not know what a free zone is a designated geographic area within country where businesses operate under different regulations than the rest of the country. These zones are designed to attract investment and boost economic activity. Dubai, in particular, has over 40 free zones, each with unique regulations and incentives tailored to specific industries, and they allow for 100% foreign ownership, tax exemptions, and duty-free import and export. Lastly, Dubai has a diversified economy and key growth sectors such as a strong economic growth, where the International Monetary Fund reported it forecasts Dubai economy to grow by 3.3% this year in 2025 and by 3.5% in 2026. So, if you haven't made the move to Dubai yet, we highly recommend you do so now, as it's going to benefit you, your company, and if you're looking to make investments.
No, yeah, that's Dubai is a great area.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's so culturally diverse too.
Hmm.
And most people speak English as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good hub to go into. And then, as Jerome mentioned, there's no corporate tax, which is amazing. So the next country that would make sense for global expansion is Brazil. So Brazil is the largest economy in South America. Brazil's really cool because they have such a diverse population, a diverse land, and so many business hub areas. Like Sao Paulo, for example, is like huge for business investment. They have many commodity exports too. So this makes their economy quite strong. They export soy, they export coffee, meat as well, oils. So it's definitely a growing economy, and what we've seen is the middle class is growing even more, which is also causing the e-commerce to grow. It's
Mm.
projected to be $65 billion in 2026 for the e-commerce sector alone. And
Wow.
this is largely fueled by the Pix integration. So Pix is the payment gateway in Brazil, and it's pretty much totally revolutionized like the way transactions are operating there. And it's pushing for more e-commerce growth as well. So another thing that's very unique about Brazil is the tourism sector. So the government is investing more and more in growing the tourism sector as well. And they are also positioned as a leader in blockchain in South America in general. So very, very interesting area to do business, a lot of opportunities in Brazil, very large population too, and very skilled workforce as well. So if you are looking to expand within South America too, Brazil's a great hub because you have access to so many other countries from Brazil.
Wow, that was actually very insightful. I highly recommend expanding into Brazil because it seems very attractive, but it seems like it's built for the present and the future for businesses. Obviously you agree, right? You would agree.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's like a lot of growth taking place, and there's a lot of work being done to kind of get some of the red tape down and to make it more of a safe place to do business. There's people that you can work with directly within Brazil
Yeah.
so that, your investments are secure. So I think it's a very interesting market to operate in, of course, with caution, but the actual market itself and the people and the opportunities there are incredible.
Nice. Okay. And then my last country that I have on the board for businesses to consider with global expansion is India. Now, India is an emerging market. And for those who may not know what an emerging market is, an emerging market is when a country has an economy that is becoming more advanced, typically experiencing rapid growth and industrialization, which means it's a large and growing market due to its population. So India has rising consumer spending. It has a growth in its economy as the population is over 1.4 billion people. That's crazy. Um, and as far as the GDP growth, it's currently at 6.4%, according to an article posted by Atheos. The consumer market is projected to surpass $6 trillion by 2030, which is not that far away. This is very important to consider for businesses. The supply chain is very good as it's great at supply chain diversification. It has a thriving digital economy, and we're living nowadays in a world where digital economy and digital presence is very paramount. The digital transformation and innovation is very big as it has a rise in e-commerce and digital sectors relating to the internet and smartphone penetration. That's something to consider. And then lastly, they have great government support, where the Indian government actively promotes business growth through initiatives such as Startup India and provides incentive for investment. Now, these are all great pros for any businesses that are looking to expand in India. Number one, it's an emerging market, and emerging markets, that's the wave for the next 5 to 10 years as the world continues to transform and globalization become continues to be a big theme. And then I would say the economic growth, with a GDP growth of 6.4%, that's kind of like pretty unheard of in a lot of places. So I would highly recommend companies looking to going into India. So what are your thoughts on that, Gigi?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a very, very great market to enter. Firstly, a very large population, skilled labor force. I think a lot of companies, even in the US and in Europe, are outsourcing talent to India as well already.
Yeah.
And the population largely is educated in English too. So this is pretty good if you are serving like consumers that speak English. And I think it's just overall a great economy to go into. So, yeah.
Nice.
So, the sixth country that we have today is South Africa. So, South Africa is very interesting to expand into because it has one of Africa's most developed infrastructures. It also is part of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. So, this means that by doing business in South Africa, you also have access to do business in many other African countries as well. So, you can use your strategic location of South Africa to enter other markets surrounding as well. So, very developed infrastructure and also a fintech ecosystem, which really helps. They have like developed a banking system and ability to make transactions digitally and such, and English proficiency. So, very, very educated workforce. One of the main languages is English as well. And if you are planning on going to expand into South Africa and invest and do business there are actually many government incentives that will give you tax breaks and help you out. Another thing about South Africa is you have a growing middle class. So, over 30 million people. And we've got some very interesting cities within South Africa to look into, whether they are like business hubs or very developed areas. So, some examples include Cape Town and Johannesburg. So I'll let Jerome speak more because he's actually been to South Africa. So he's way more familiar with the landscape than me. So, Jerome, what do you feel like makes South Africa an interesting place to do business in and a growing hub for anyone who would want to expand globally?
For sure. So I'll break down starting off with each actual part of South Africa. So I'll start with Cape Town. So Cape Town is the more of the touristy part, where obviously that's pretty self-explanatory. You have a lot of businesses setting up shop because of the demographics and like the actual market that's coming in to spend money. It has all the beaches there, which are very breathtaking and incredible. I actually have yet to see anything like it. And then you have Johannesburg. That's what actually like more of the culture and the authenticity of what you're going to get from the locals of South Africa are there. That's where they stem. That's actually where Nelson Mandela spent a lot of his time at, and that's actually where he ended his life at. I actually got to see his house, where he grew up at, and where he ended his life at. And then you have Pretoria. That's actually where like a university was, because I did a study abroad over there. But I say all that to say like. Obviously, you have the touristy part, which is Cape Town, where you shut up at. We actually went to a port business where we got to like learn more about the infrastructure out there. But it's definitely business friendly, the quality of life. Obviously, apartheid kind of, left his indelible mark there. However, it's still room for opportunity, a lot of growth. I went in 2018, and with our partners in South Africa and our connections, it's grown so much from just me, not just from me leaving in 2018. COVID did take an effect on it. It kind of ruined the touristy industry. But now you see people, as Gigi mentioned, like fintech, that's being the thing. Education is a big thing over there. Social entrepreneurship, that's a big thing in South Africa. And I just think where South Africa at is just trying to build like a lot of skilled workforce and just market the businesses for entrepreneurs and teach entrepreneurship nowadays in that market. So I highly recommend South Africa. The food is great, great views, great people. It's just a beautiful, beautiful place. Long story short.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Well, yeah, guys, so those are six countries that we feel would make sense to expand globally into if that's what you are seeking to do. And, some other countries, like I'll just quickly list a couple other really interesting markets. And if you guys want us to dive deeper into some more, we'd be happy to. But some other interesting places include the Philippines, Egypt, Nigeria, Kenya. So I think it's definitely, like Jerome said, it's a ripe time to look at emerging markets and to expand there, especially with globalization and how interconnected we all are now. So tapping into the economies of different areas, serving the people of different places is very, very doable and feasible now. So, yeah, as always, thank you guys for tuning in. If you need help expanding into international markets, we're happy to help you out via our consulting side of our business. So, yeah, thank you guys and hope you all have a great rest of the week.